All right. Welcome to the Building Bridges Network, Tech in the NDIS, where to begin. We're about to start. Please find a seat. There's some empty seats at the front for the vendors. And please move forward. Good. Housekeeping. I'm Ivania from K2 Community Services. Hey, I'm sure everyone knows. It's Howard.
Hello, my name is Howard. I am from Global Rehab Service, one of the organizers. Thank you everyone for coming. My role is usually all about housekeeping rules. So we got food over there. So please feel free to take any food as possible. We have more waters under the table, but we will get it filled up for everyone. The toilet is when you go out left and right. There's a toilet over there. And the other housekeeping thing is we were doing all the recording for today for LinkedIn and put on YouTube and things like that. For individuals that are not comfortable to be on the video, can come and speak to me. Then I will when we do the editing, I can remove you from the video at the end. And the last bit is for people that has been new to coming to us. I know the downstairs. Our building management has been quite helpful to maybe guiding you as to the car spot, but just in case that you worry about parking, just next time, just park straight to the surface New South Wales and walk across. It's so much easier. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I'm Earl. I'm from Only Care and Connect Care. Excited. It's been a good year, really exciting year for building bridges. For those who've been to our events, we sort of started off just around May with about 15 people attending, and now we're getting to 80 to 100 at every event. So thank you all for coming, and next year will be bigger and better. So my role is to mention and introduce the vendors, and we'll give every vendor a quick 30 seconds. Someone's got the bell. 30-second elevator pitch. And then we encourage everyone to go and see the vendors afterwards. The vendors today, there are 4 vendors that relate to, is it 4? 4 that relate to the topic specifically, and 1 which is our charity vendor. Every month we're introducing a different charity. We were hoping to also introduce a participant. Last month we actually introduced a participant who is setting up a business, but we couldn't organize that this month with a participant. But next year, hopefully every event will introduce a participant as well. If you know anyone that is trying to set up a business or trying to run a business, it doesn't have to be an NDIS business, but if they are a participant, please come along and speak to us afterwards, because we'd love to introduce and really wrap the whole event around the whole spectrum of NDIS. And just before we introduce the vendors, just to introduce our speakers. So we've got Jenny, Peter and John, and they'll do a formal intro afterwards, but thank you for coming along. So vendors, we might start with Audit Doc. Yep.
Kind of got put on the spot here. I wasn't sure I was talking today. Okay, everyone. My name is Martin. I'm from Audit Docs. So myself and Alex have been working on a platform over the past 7 months to help streamline the audit process. Basically, it's a streamlined platform to help you with all the heavy lifting. We all know that audits are probably the most stressful time period for providers. So if we can come in and kind of do all the heavy lifting for you, then that'll be great. So that's a bit about us. We'll be ready to go live early next year. So if you want a bit more information, we will be at the back and collecting wait list to see if you're interested to learn a little bit more. Thank you.
Thanks, man. And Aaron from YZ.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Aaron from YZ, and we've got a staff training and compliance system for NDIS providers. As a lot of you would know, training new staff can be a whole lot of time and energy and money. We basically automate that process. So instead of having to do it all manually, you can add them to our system, and it will do it all completely automatically for you, so you know your staff are fully trained and compliant for a fraction of the time and cost of doing it any other way. So we've got a little demo up there. You can come check it out later, and you can access it for free too if you wanted to try it in your business. So thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Ben from Family Member Care.
Hi, my name's Ben. I'm from Family Member Care. We're up the back there. We developed the platform originally, my sister and I, to help my mum, the notorious AKA RBL, to help with medications, diagnoses, doctor's visits, appointments, and things like that, messaging as well. We then developed the platform with dealing with NDIS and aged care providers. So the platform does work now with rostering messaging, case notes, auditing, and compliance. But the great thing about it is those two sides connect. So the families get insight into what's happening, and the providers can see what the family are reporting as well. Come up the back, there's a giveaway, and we do have stickers, which I would personally be very happy if everyone could spread far and wide.
Thanks, Ben. Sid from Nightingale.
Hi, my name is Sid from Nightingale Software. So Nightingale is an all-in-one platform that helps streamline NDIS providers' businesses from client onboarding to rostering, funding management, billing, and through to claiming. We also do things like incident management and reporting. There is a dedicated client app and a staff mobile app as well to check rosters, who is coming in. Staff are able to update progress notes, raise incidents, clock in, clock off. And there's integration with different payroll systems and ERP systems for an end-to-end connectivity. I'm at the back, and I can do a quick demo if you like. So don't hesitate.
Thanks, Sid. Noor and Mina, who's speaking? Noor from Brothers in Need. Our charity for the month.
Yes. All right. So, yes, I'm Noor from Dignified Caring, but representing Brothers in Need, which is a project that I've thankfully founded 12 years ago. Been around for about 12 years, reaching our 10-year anniversary with the Homeless Outreach Program, and that's our main focus. Most of our programs, from the soup kitchen to the school visits, the hospital visits, and everything surrounding that, feed back into the Homeless Outreach Program, where we are every single Saturday at Martin Place. So any groups, any individuals that want to come out and support us and come out and help assist the needy and be part of the community and give back to the community, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me or Mina, and hopefully we can work together.
And just lastly, hopefully everyone got a Lucky Door Prize ticket. So we'll do the draw after the panel, but before everyone starts to network. So look forward to that.
All right, amazing. So we might get into it. Everyone can take their seats. Well, everyone is sitting except for me. So my name is Emmanuel. For those that know me, I'm from Ability Connect. One of the lucky few who get to work with Howard and Earl on this amazing project, and alongside some amazing panelists, which I will let introduce themselves. Well, they're going to introduce themselves in a couple of minutes. Just a quick thing of how today goes. So it's a Q&A panel. The idea is that you guys as a community get involved. So they're going to introduce themselves, talk about their expertise, a little bit about themselves, and they're going to answer in their introduction, I guess, or talk to a little bit a particular question. Which is how make or break is technology for us for the future. So they may talk a little bit about that in their introduction. Now, after they do their introductions, it's open straight away. So if you guys have questions, jump up. Howard or Earl will give you a microphone and we'll get started. So please jump in, ask any question. That's the point. Obviously, we're here about tech today, so hopefully the question relates to that and we can help. So I might pass over to Jenny first to do her introduction. Perfect. Yeah, sorry, I should have handed that to you. Good.
Hi, everyone. Shall I stand? No? Sit down? I don't know. Can everyone see up the back? My name's Jenny from Concept Designs and Marketing, and I have been in digital marketing for 24 years. So some of you might be asking, what is she doing here to talk about tech? I recently met Howard, and one of the areas that I specialise in is around our participants, or in my instance, clients, changing their search behaviour from using a Google, search engine, or Bing, as it may be, to actually using AI search. And so I'm going to touch a little bit, the answers to some of the questions that we might have today will be coming at it from that perspective. So there we go. Yeah, thank you.
What about how make or break technology is for you?
So I think I might have just touched on that. We are entering a phase that is probably the biggest disruptor in nearly 3 decades when it comes to how people find and choose businesses online. So I'll touch on that a little bit more. So that's definitely for me a make or break moment. So for businesses.
Thank you. I'm Peter from the Co Group. We support about 80 odd providers with labour hire services, support workers, both NDIS and aged care. We also do all of the back office functions. So where a provider wants to concentrate on developing their client base, we do all the heavy lifting for invoicing, collections, claims, payments, payroll, all that sort of gear. So in that, we've been around 8 years. So we've seen providers start out from very small, growing up to quite large. And I see all the problems that go with that journey. So that's where I sort of come from. So if you're pitching a question, if it's provider land, that's me. How does tech impact it? At the moment, well, we know that NDIS has matured in their offering and they're screwing down the prices, particularly in Sil's front, but right across the front. We see revenue under pressure, which means that your revenue is under pressure. You counter that with growth, but the other side of that is how are you becoming efficient with your costs? How do you minimize your costs? And that's where I see tech having its biggest impact. So that whole journey of recruiting a staff member, onboarding them, getting their compliances, issuing a contract, getting them into the rostering system, getting them into the pay system. How many times do you duplicate that information in that journey? And if you're doing that manually, you've probably got, if you're doing it yourself, you're probably entering data 5 or 6 times, the same data. If you've got a team, they're probably doing it. They're replicating each other's work. So how do we fix that? How do we streamline that, enter it once and get it to flow right across systems? Well, with the introduction of the conversation of AI, it's caused a huge evolution in software that I haven't seen for the first 5 or 6 years. Software was pretty basic and it was just keeping up with NDIS needs. Now, just about every software provider is talking about AI, but they're also talking about how APIs connect their software system to other systems so that you don't have to duplicate that input, that you can make your processes more efficient. And that's going to be important into the future. So that's where I see the big strike zone for tech in provider land at the moment.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. John Velasquez. I'm part of the group that looks after Plan Partners, Plan Tracker, and now My Plan Support. So before I get into kind of plan management for people that don't really understand it, I'm part of me being part of this industry for the best part of now 16, 17 months is listening to stories like Ben's that people, it actually still amazes me that people enter this industry because of they've been touched by something more personal. And so they come in with a lot of heart. And I guess fundamentally when we talk about IT, and I'll get to our bit in a minute, sometimes we do that, we enter the industry because we have all this great intent. I've never seen anything like I've seen it here as part of NDIS. And sometimes the IT element can be a little bit of an afterthought. Anyway, so plan management, in a nutshell, the participant gets evaluated, they have an assessment. In many cases, the participant isn't able to make their own decisions. They then outsource a lot of that decision-making to either a support coordinator, service provider, or another carer. And then they then give them access to their dashboard to be able to then allow them to pay bills and then manage their budget as part of their particular therapy. So we're effectively, in many cases, a bit like the middleman. And from where we are and where we started, we were essentially an admin function. And what we'll talk about a little bit further on is that this kind of admin function is now really morphed into more of compliance, more about understanding what's in and what's out. And I think for a lot of people, he would understand some of the complexities around that. And so we've now become more of a subject matter expert now, particularly when the NDIA impose something upon us with 2 weeks' notice. We've got to make the changes, and then people sort of scramble to sort of make the changes. From an IT point of view, given the fact that we're now moving towards, invoices that you can actually process, ingest information automatically using AI tools, but then equally there is, a bigger emphasis on fraud, a bigger emphasis on compliance. So I think entering into IT, I think is not always about a necessity, but it's almost like a given in the way that you will now liaise with us on behalf of your participants. So I hope that just gives you a bit of a nice little overview about IT. Thank you.
Amazing. So we're now open for questions if anyone does have one for the group. Oh, go for it. Straight away.
Okay, sorry, I had a quick question. So part of the process while we were building AuditDoc, I was doing market research and speaking to a lot of people within the NDIS. One thing that I noticed is that a lot of people have a very manual process of having files on a desktop or in folders and that type of thing. And it's all they know, I guess. So my question is, what advice would you give to someone that is maybe looking into stepping into the tech world or AI world, but is feeling a bit overwhelmed and scared of change? And I guess what would the benefits look like for that?
I'll catch that one. My personal journey is I've been looking at that issue for probably 18 months or so. And I see many of my clients looking at the same issue. And if they're small, they tend to do it all. And they're doing it mainly through a rostering system and a basic accounting system like Xero or something like that. And the filing process is what comes unstuck. So there's quite often no consistency in where they're filing something. A great operator will do something like slap in SharePoint and they'll start putting in a structured layered system and start filing all the essential documents, and they'll identify the essential documents. So if you're looking at what they should be doing, and it's intimidating, I have this philosophy where I say, you should be thinking about all of that, but to put it into context, you probably want to think about where your business is going to in the future. What are you going to do with your business? Are you going to eventually keep it and pass it on to a family member? Are you going to sell it on the open market? And how big do you think you will grow in that journey? Because that will change the perception of what you do today. It will give you a framework to think about, okay, well, if I'm selling my business on the open market, what will they need to see? And then talk to people that know that process. Yeah, you'll need to see consistent transactions filed somewhere. They'll need to see the service agreements all filed, the plans all filed. They want to see all the workers with signed contracts filed. So suddenly, in your head, you think, that's what I need to achieve into the future. So what do I do now? And then you're on a hell of a mission, because then you need to talk to all these different providers and see what's available to solve those problems. And everything has changed. I've spoken to people in this room, and their offering is understated compared to what it actually does for your company. So they think they solve one problem, they actually solve 10 problems. So you need to talk to everybody currently, if you spoke to them 2 years ago, it's not the same software today, it's evolved. So then you need to think about, what am I trying to solve? And that's a big question. That's what hung me up for 12 months. Where am I best spending my money to get, and what am I looking to get out of it? Is it a revenue issue? Am I trying to improve sales? Because that's a totally different journey to trying to improve my cost base and minimizing my costs and enabling scalability by having good systems. So talk to all the suppliers and see what they've got on offer, because it has changed, and it's changed hugely with the advent of the discussion around AI, because APIs are now available. So there's connectors between software systems, they are available. But a plan in your head is your starting point. What do I need for the future? So what do I need to do now? And that's probably as good advice as I can give you at the moment.
I just want to add, so the NDIS obviously has, they pay providers, or they pay people that actually support NDIS for some of those, they've not had a pay rise in a very long time, or the pay increases are very minimal. So then as a business, you're now in a position whereby you're going to be looking at your margin more so than ever, particularly if you're not getting the same level of funding. So that decision will drive that efficiency. That decision will drive what is the problem. That will drive what is the reason you're here. What's your core function? Is your core function to provide OT, or is your core function to reconcile spreadsheets? So I think there are things that are happening that is driving that as an outcome, but there's also changes that are happening in the industry that are being imposed upon you. So in our case at Plan Partners, we might have a process in place for invoices that now allows us to capture minimal information that allows quicker ingestion of that particular information. That then means that a provider is getting paid quicker, right? That's a cash flow. They're not out of pocket. We're supporting that because it's part of our role. That's not dictated by the NDIS. That's us driving that. So if you want to be able to liaise with us with minimal information, including NDIS numbers, ABNs and the like, then what you then send to us will also help you do that. If it's going to be on a spreadsheet or a PDF or something scanned, that won't help your cause. But if you've got something that gets into an accounting system that provides something like that, then all of a sudden you're going to see the efficiency on that, and then other things will come from that.
I'm going to throw it over to Jenny, but I think we've all had this same conversation. We've all had this same conversation. I think you almost need to know your system before you get the system. You need to have an understanding of what your processes are before you do it. But before we get the question, I wanted to throw it over to Jenny in terms of...
I wondered if it might be helpful to also look at it from a different perspective. I think one of the words that you mentioned was fear as well, our participants, but also providers. Howard, is it possible to get that visual up? There's 2025, Gartner did a research piece around where businesses are at the moment in terms of implementing AI into their businesses. And Sydney Morning Herald interacted with it, and then I read the article. And one of the things that we noticed around it was, whilst businesses, and rightly so, are taking time to actually implement AI in their workflows, in their automations, etc., it's got to happen. You've got security, you've got, retraining, all that sort of stuff to happen with regards to that. One thing to keep in mind is that your participants are already using AI. They're using their method to be able to find you, to be able to search and to get some answers, actually. And so we've got a whole bunch of different, groups of people. This is actually the innovation, the user adoption framework. And you've probably seen it with different, backgrounds behind it. But basically what happens is each of these quadrants, or they're not really quadrants, but groups of people embrace technology at different rates. And there are some that may not embrace AI search. But if we look at this, you've got your AI innovators. I'll just bring it up here because I really can't see from there. You've got your AI innovators, and these people are already, these were, helping to integrate and build and create the AI tools. You've got your AI trailblazers, traditional search adapters, passive AI searchers, and you've got your old school searchers. Now, these people may not move for a long time. But what I wanted to point out here is that the tipping point where it becomes mainstream for people to be using an AI tool, so your participants using an AI tool, is a teeny tiny 15 to 18% of the population, okay? Now, most recent research indicates, from Business Adobe, indicates that 36% of Australians, which you can see there, are already using AI as a search engine. So whilst there's two aspects to it. We need to remember that our participants are already using it. How do you interact with that as well? So hopefully that's a helpful framework to see. So the dotted line, if we could go back one. So sorry, this indicates what the tipping point is, which is 4.71, I think it is, Australians. Now, we've already surpassed that. Now, that is the tipping point when it just flows and everyone takes it on board. And now I've actually got, if it's helpful for you, I've created a document, come and chat to me after, that helps providers to understand how they need to interact with each of their participants, regardless of where they are along this journey of embracing innovation. And I'm happy to give it to you. Some questions that you can ask yourselves around that. So
I know we have a question, but just quickly, we were talking out there about Google searching. It is actually forcing you to use AI, or it gives you an AI. Is that part of that?
Yeah, well, they have that. If Google didn't take on AI, like make sure that they were keeping up with it, they would be left in the dark. But they were never going to let that happen. So no, they have the AI overviews, which, you can actually, is definitely at the top. So that does impact your digital marketing and what to implement with your business.
Just a quick one, sorry, before the question. Also, just to also keep in mind that people with a disability aren't necessarily always going to be at the forefront of this kind of technology. So there will be a requirement for us to really sort of coach them along to make them feel like they're doing the right thing, but also give them the confidence to be able to do that. So we're still facing that in the industry today. So, we have support coordinators, for example, providers who actually are there, but they need to bring the participant along as well too, because they're not there yet as well too. So there needs to be sort of a transition period in that respect as well.
But that's an opportunity. Sorry again to jump in, but that's actually an opportunity for providers to actually to support their participants if they, and it might be that AI tools make it easier to even search than maybe Google. So I think all these difficult things could also be opportunities for us as providers, but also maybe for new entrants that might see an opportunity to, fashion a solution. So yeah. Now, question.
And I don't mean to bring the mood down, but I'm interested in any concerns you have about the use of AI and confidential information from people with disability and their families, right? Because when this is there and everyone's trying to learn how to use it, that's fine in some instances. But I think that a big concern I would have is that, and I'm sure many organizations don't even know across their staffing levels who's using it and what way they're using it. And I'm interested in knowing kind of what you guys think around how organizations manage that and what safeguards. And the only example I would give is that I think that take the legal industry, for example, which is obviously quite advanced. They would only ever have their staff adopt AI where it's a closed system, where there's no ability for that information to leave that organization. And obviously AI is based upon the concept of like learning. And that's very kind of interesting that it's kind of ingest that information and keep it. So yeah, I'm interested in like perspectives.
Just before you answer that, Peter, because I know you grabbed this straight away. I don't know how many people know, but the agency is actually coming down on that now. They're coming down on the fact of whether or not they've had any international use of information. They're flagging it a lot more, and they're making sure people are definitely aware of where the information is being stored, what's happening. We knew it was coming, so we haven't touched anything like that, unless it is a closed, which doesn't really exist. So really, we're not touching it because there is none of that yet. But they are clamping down. If anyone doesn't know that, they're calling you and making sure that you're not allowed to touch things, especially even when you're overseas.
So at the Co-Group, we're a not-for-profit, and our board of directors were red hot on the potential cyber risk within our systems, and that included AI. And we quickly identified through consultants that the weakest link was actually APIs. So you get data certificates for your software system that says that they have their safety protocols in place, but the connectors are the exposure, and that's what can be broken into, and that's where data can be extracted. So in that journey, we were very conscious of identifying where the weak links were. And we're talking about multiple APIs between systems, or multiple systems with APIs connecting each of them. So there's huge risk there. But then on the other side of that fence, we learned very quickly that ChatGPT is open and anything you put in there becomes public knowledge instantly. Whereas Copilot under Microsoft is a contained system that pulls on all the resource externally but doesn't release anything outwards. And that's something that you need to learn, right? We didn't speak like this 18 months ago or 12 months ago. Institutions like Australian Institute of Directors are pushing this information out to all directors. So if you've got good directors, and you should have a look at even small businesses, who you have on your board and what skill sets that are missing from your company that you can potentially fill through a volunteer board member joining your board to give you that advice or point you in the right direction.
It's a great question because I think within the NDIS industry, I think fraud is probably still not quite at the level that we would like it to be. In a previous life, I come from a banking environment. I think we all know when we get into our bank apps, what type of, systems are in place to sort of mitigate that particular fraud. In our case, a lot of the fraud as a plan manager involved taking money from a plan or a top-up. Now I can empty your plan and all the supports. So it has really ramped up. From our point of view, it has ramped up because we get calls and we now need to know, is it you that's calling? And are you the nominated person on that particular account? Okay. Now that was probably, it felt like it was important, but probably didn't act it as an important thing, I would say. From our perspective, we've had to really increase our identification checks to make sure that that's the right person in an industry which is still fairly naive and quite immature when it comes to that. So we're taking those precautions. Now, in some ways, what that has meant for us, it's essentially cleaned up our database for people that used to be there, old email addresses and other things that we now have an up-to-date understanding of who's part of that particular account. But I think from a fraud point of view, particularly when you now have a dashboard and you're exposed to information that's very sensitive about what type of plan you have, account details, for example. There's a lot of things in there that we now need to protect it and give it, I guess, the due seriousness that it requires, like it would for anyone else getting to any type of dashboard, whether it be us or for any other industry.
Sorry.
No, you go. Oh.
Sunday last week, I got a phone call from one of our clients saying that our software was potentially breached. So we have a cyber policy that's been revamped about 10 times in the last 12 months. Immediately kicked in that it turned out it wasn't our software that had been breached, but our workers were involved. So how many people here in their businesses use some sort of social media app for their support worker communication? Anyone? Well, there are a lot of providers out there using things like, WhatsApp and some of these other things. Well, guess where the leak came from? So just be warned, there's your people may be using systems that are outside of company systems that you may or may not be aware of, but you want to look at that usage. It's a non-business facility, and that's the way you should think about it. If it's not a business facility, it's probably at risk. It was contained and it was limited, so all the people did the right thing. So education of your staff and communication to all your staff about these risks are really, really important.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask. How many businesses have actually got themselves cyber insurance? Because it's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when, unfortunately, nowadays. But can I ask a show of hands, how many people here actually have a website, their own website as well? And that is one of the areas that you need to make sure if you're collecting people's details, is actually managing and maintaining your website. I have hosted websites for years, and I cannot tell you the number of websites that I see that actually get malware on them. And it's simply because they're not being maintained. They need to be maintained, just like our phones have their updates, your websites do as well. And it is super important that you make sure that is happening, because that's not only going to harm your reputation, etc., but if you are collecting participants' information on your website, it's super important that you actually make sure that you've got that, maintained and taken care of. And I think what you're talking about more, from what I understand, was about people actually uploading information into ChatGPT to create some kind of report or whatever it might be. And exactly what you said was, it's once it goes into an AI tool, it's open slather. It's a grey area, and IP becomes a real issue. I would say from a business point of view, and certainly from a search and building that trust or domain authority perspective, every business needs to make sure on their website they have their terms and conditions, they have a privacy policy, and you must have a cookies policy as well. When we audit websites to see what the likelihood is that you're going to be found in an AI tool, those legal requirements do come up each time. So definitely.
I was just wondering, how safe is like Otter or Fireflies, the AI that takes notes during meetings, like Teams meetings and Zoom? Thank you.
Point in case, I've banned it, as simple as that. So it does have a place, it does have a use, and I see people using it all the time. But we attached it to our boardroom machine. So we have a boardroom 1 and 2, and they each have their own address. And somebody acted Firefly and never closed the first meeting in the day, and it recorded every conversation for a whole day and distributed it to everybody in that meeting. So be warned, it needs oversight and control. So do not find yourself in that position. So, be warned.
And I don't believe that they host in Australia either. And I don't think there's any that I've seen, any, unless there's someone knows one, but there's none that actually do host in Australia. Because we looked, we have a VoIP app phone calling system, and they introduced AI, and I called them straight away. I go, where do you host it? They go, I don't know. I'm like, well, you should know that. Considering you're the actual business. But I called them and they found out and it was in America. I was like, well, no, I can't use it. So turn it off. They had it all on for my staff. I'm like, no, and my staff, well, this is great. As a support coordinator, imagine your phone calls automated into notes. That's the best thing in the world, right? I can't wait for it to happen, but it's hosted in America. Can't use it. Don't use it. It's not worth it. So just be mindful of it. I mean, I know Microsoft is the only one so far that is based on where the licensee owns the license, from my understanding, and Copilot same. It's based in Australia. So
we think, But yeah, I'd just like to endorse that Otter is definitely hosted overseas. And sorry to say, but I find it a bit of a pest. No one in my team's used it, but I've been in meetings with people at external, and it automatically attaches itself to the meeting. You've all seen that. So it's a bit of, I would uninstall it, make sure everyone's uninstalled it, because the way I look at some of these tools is we've probably all experienced, we've got a phone sitting on the desk and you say something and suddenly Google searches for something. Imagine that going through transcription and out through AI, and it's pretty crazy. I just wanted to ask or mention about insurance. Jenny was talking about, and Peter, cyber insurance. I don't know anyone who's thankfully had to claim or had to try to claim, but I'd love to know, and we probably need to bring in some insurance people to one of our sessions next year, because I'd love to know if the insurance companies are able to get out of policies when someone's tried to claim. An insurance company says, we found a gap. You didn't put something on your website or whatever. Peter might have a comment on that.
That's a question our boss.
And it's expensive too,
Every
becoming more
year.
expensive.
Yeah, it's actually getting better in recent years. It was going up until the last year. It's come down. And I think that's basically through companies being more aware. And in years gone by, there were some big, nasty claims that dropped through that drove up premiums. But that is a question that our board asks every year is to, are you insurers paying out? And they actually have pretty good records of how they're paying out. And understanding their process is really important. What they do as a first port of call once you've ring them up. They have teams that support you in that attack and they step you through the process, and that's part of the policy coverage. So they don't actually try to dodge it. They know when they've got a legitimate circumstance, and they have very good resources to assist you through an attack, and that's important to know. When you're small, it's not such a big deal, but as you grow in size and you develop, it's something that should be on your radar.
Can I just add on insurance? I know Peter Co-Group's large. You've got access to lawyers, and you can deal with the larger underwriters or insurance companies and brokers, not underwriters. But smaller businesses might not have that advantage. Also, larger businesses have sway in terms of premium. So smaller businesses don't have that sort of sway, but I'd encourage small businesses to contact brokers and deal with broker and make sure you're comfortable. Don't just insure directly. Deal with a broker. If you know what a broker is, they're an in-between person that can help you if they're the right sort of broker. Make sure that you've got the right coverage, and they've got a bit more sway with insurers as well. So I would definitely encourage you to work with brokers as well.
Earl, I could not agree more. And that's exactly what I was going to say. I've actually had a client, small business, that did get breached, and they were using a broker. The broker went ahead, spoke with the underwriters. They actually have a legal team. You just sit back, you wait for that legal team to reach out to you, and they will take you through that whole process.
Got to be the right sort of broker.
It's got to be the right broker, 100%. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, so now we're all so scared of tech, with all the risks. We've got a question. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Teresa. It's not so much a question. Well, let me see. I used to be in support coordination. Okay. And every day we need to chase files and, people change OTs or whatever, and the reports are not there. So I have an idea, and I just wonder what you think of it. So you know that in Medicare we have My Records. So if you opt in, the records are centralized. So do you see that NDIS could do something similar? Because they have a lot of the reports, right? I'm not talking about file notes, but the reports, something important like discharge records, obviously is an opt-in system, and the people who are authorized, like the nominee, or when you have your My ID, you can access the record. Do you see that being reasonable, or is there a lot of security problems? Because support coordination are under pressure, and we can't find things. We can't even find the right person to find this stuff. So that's my question.
So, in answer to your question, I don't have a specific answer, Teresa, to your question. The idea is excellent. The execution on the NDIS's part might be a little bit different. I don't want to sort of say something. I'm in a room, I'm getting videoed. But I think it just begs the problem on their responsibility, not just with that, but full stop. And I mentioned before the idea of the file format that the bank provides. The banks get together, they set up a file format. You use that file format to pay wages, payroll, accounts payable, whatever it happens to be. You fill out that file, and if you don't do it to that file format, that file will not go through, and people will not get paid. Here, it's almost the opposite. We don't have that structure or sort of governance at that level to be able to then pass it on down the line for both a support coordinator and also equally for us. So for us, it works a little bit backwards. We provide the smarts on, for example, on invoices, for example, and then others sort of fall into line behind that rather than the other way around. So I'd love to be able to speak to that. I think it's a great idea. Whether we can actually influence that, I think just a case of whether time will tell.
I think there's an opportunity for the first time, Teresa. There's, we've now got aged care and NDIS under the same minister. And at the moment, they're changing the aged care system to a new system. And they have multiple computer systems to make that work. So behind the scenes, all of that's being looked at, and NDIS and aged care are being looked at. And I believe they're at the stage where they're looking at consolidating policies and bringing in common compliance. We may see the emergence of, particularly with navigators, I think there's a brilliant opportunity there to bring in a central resource where information is recorded, because we know NDIS historically can't find their own information. So when we talk about multiple systems and not a common method of filing things, they suffer that problem, right? So they're looking for a solution to all of this. They're doing things to resolve those issues. But I think health, there is a process within medical records now to record patients on a one system. And I think that could be used to develop something for people with disability and in aged care as well, where there's medical records required all the time. So I think we're evolving towards it, but slowly. I think it's coming.
I was just going to say, when I worked in the agency, when I was a planner like 5 years ago, and obviously things have matured and changed a lot since then. But previously, we used to have to do the 100 points of ID, and we used to have to do a photo scan, sign it off, keep it, store it on the lock. And then a new law came in, well, I don't know, new legislation within NDIS came in, so we weren't allowed to do any of that. So we had to shred hundreds and thousands of copies, and then we had to write the number of the driver's license and the number of Medicare, and then a new thing came in, so we had to shred that because we weren't allowed to take that down. So then we only had to cite it, and we had to do the expiration date, and then all the reports and everything that came in, we actually, even though it was under the participant, when we were writing about it, we can only use the participant or the initials. And as you know, planners don't give out their last name, and then you can't have a direct number. So I think, even though that's a terrific idea, I think NDIA is completely terrified of accountability. So I don't see that that's going to happen anytime soon. And I do think that the health department has something amazing, well, at least within that, but it's almost like they don't communicate. So you don't know.
I wonder if My ID is an answer to some of our security challenges. I mean, it's got everyone who's accessing NDIS now has to have My ID in some way, shape or form. I wonder if that's their future method of verifying everyone. And I wonder if in the NDIS, when you call them, you're going to have to do a two-factor authentication. I don't know why I forgot that. With My ID, where they send you a thing, you have to confirm who you are. But we'll see. But I think we've got a question from...
It's not really a question, I think. It was more coming over from the UK and moving here. I was quite surprised. In the UK, they're so strict with the GDPR, data protection policies. And then coming to Australia, it seemed quite a more relaxed system to data protection and just how things get passed around and information is shared. Do you see something like that potentially coming to Australia that's going to tighten up everything for everyone anyway?
So when that all happened, Google actually they were caught in a really difficult situation. The old version of Google, Analytics, just to clarify, the Analytics didn't comply with that. And so they had to make some major changes. Now, what they've actually morphed into is a brilliant tool from a marketing perspective to gather data. But yes, and so that's where the cookie, those policies that I mentioned, you need to have those on your website from a legal perspective. And it is becoming a factor for search, for building your visibility and also from a domain authority, and trust for your potential, people visiting your website. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one of my frustrations is if you look at the other side of the coin, which is a support worker environment, most support workers are holding down 3 or 4 jobs with different providers. And every time they join, they have to go through all their training all over again with the new provider. So why isn't there one national record of their training so that we as businesses don't have to put them through what they've already been through multiple times? So I'd love to see that as an initiative. Somebody's
One day make it happen.
So easy, no problem. Yeah. And, it's the same for participants, and whether it's aged care or NDIS, I'd really like to see something involved. It may be a pipe dream, but, we've got a chance. We've got, I know that the minister is looking at both systems, and I know they're critical of their own systems. That whole deference of aged care system from the 1st of July to the 31st of October was on the basis that they couldn't get multiple systems to talk to each other to facilitate the payment on time. Now that told the government something really important, and that must be now high on their radar, is whether it is in the too hard basket, but they are looking at what they're doing and how they're doing it, and I would hope for some improvements out of that.
So, like I said, I'm sufficiently scared of AI now. So, no, but I thought, given that we're getting closer to the end of the event, but I'd love to ask a question that is more focused on, I guess, something proactive, something something that maybe people can think about. So, what are the opportunities we've talking about? We understand there's a lot of blind spots, risks, and so on. But what are the actual opportunities with technology in improving efficiency, helping participants? Maybe not just for us as organisations, but for participants as well. Who would like to answer that meaty one first?
Let me think about that one, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess I'm just focusing on the opportunities. So we've spoken about the risks. So what are the opportunities with technology? For us as a sector. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right at that point, right? So I think the opportunity is, what's most important to you guys is that as you grow, you want to be scalable, right? And your systems are working against you because you're hiring more people to put information in that's just dead time, right? If the systems can pass that information on, you get that time back. That makes your workers more productive. That means you're focused on client needs, not on maintaining admin systems. So I think that's one key thing from the cost side. The other side is more in your department. It's that, Google is a terrible thing if you try and market on Google, you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a dent in it. So does AI help overcome that issue? Does it give your organization more visibility? And then on the compliance side, I think the evolution is happening right now. We're seeing that compliances are being addressed by software systems. So there's the incident reporting side that's improving out of sight. You see that now emerging in rostering systems and in other systems, so that if an incident happens, the information's communicated, it's on dashboards, people have visibility over what's happening at ground level. But that's something that has happened already. It's too late. It's an incident. The interesting part will be the proactive side, and that's where AI comes in. Proactive means that your support workers are putting in notes at the end of every shift, but is that triggering early warning on a potential incident? So if you look at engineering, they've got these daily checks on near misses. So if they have a near miss, they say, we need to know about that because that's our chance to mitigate a problem from occurring. So we don't want to kill anybody on site. We need to be ahead of the game. It's the same in disability and aged care. If there are warnings being reported by the support worker, are we seeing them? Or are we only seeing them once they become an incident? So trying to get ahead of the game, this is the first time with the aid of AI that we can really say, hey, we can scrape this information and we can pull it up into management's attention so that we can trigger the right people to respond to that event before it becomes an incident. So we're changing from reactive as a sector to proactive. And that's what's exciting to me about this next evolution.
I was going to say, like, if it's important for you to be visible to or for your participants from a number of levels, the services that you provide, okay, also the advice that they're getting, if you want to be the voice to them when they are, and then when they transition to using an AI tool, then you need to be visible in that space, okay? So I would really take a look at how does your business fit into that, becoming visible in that space where they're searching. When it comes to Google and things like that, yeah, sometimes you do need to have big budgets, but there are absolutely ways for smaller businesses to be able to have smaller budgets, niche down to exactly what their business is providing, finding out what your participants are actually searching for, and just having smaller budgets, niching, and being able to, for them to be able to find you, for you to be visible to them. And yes, I would definitely say one of the key things that we do with a lot of businesses nowadays, because that question is something that a lot of small businesses ask. Just this week, I've completed my 197th market competitor analysis that I did for a business. Small business, and one of the ladies on the call, she said this was absolutely revolutionary, the information, the data that she was able to get from that to find exactly what her people are searching for, what her audience is searching for. So I would say there's a huge opportunity for you to find that out. Love Google or hate Google, they know how to collect data, and they've been doing it for nearly 3 decades. And so you have an opportunity to find out, to get those insights into what your audience, what your participants are actually searching for. People use that data to figure out what to, create social media posts around, what articles you need to be writing, what keywords you need to have on your website. So that data is available to you at, it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg, but it gives you some really great focus in terms of where to spend your time and your energy. So for sure.
What I would say, and this is for me personally, when it comes to AI, without sounding like it's going to be the panacea of all our problems, which it's not. But what I would say for me, definitely AI curious. My view would be actually, take a course, do something to actually understand it, get involved, just demystify, take the fog away. And I did that actually for myself personally a few days ago, and it genuinely opened up my eyes. Okay, so maybe I'm in a different, age demographic for all the, my kids are probably thinking, eye roll, but give that a shot. What you'll find in the efficiencies that you'll get out of that you can develop out of that will be probably more surprising than you may realize. The other thing, in speaking to some of the smaller service providers that I've spoken to, when they're initiating these type of little efficiencies, these little gains, it has actually helped staff retention. I've actually heard that firsthand now a couple of times. They're telling me that it's making their lives a little bit easier, and they're actually getting more satisfaction out of what they're doing as opposed to getting bogged in all the things that we kind of speak about. So, as I said, take the course, take the jump. It's not as hard as you think it is, and once you're there, it will sort of expose you to something that might surprise you.
I'm actually doing good for time this time. I know we got one question, but just want to add my 2 cents is, I know we've had this conversation. Don't overcomplicate it. Personally, you don't need to think grand when you're thinking of technology. Think about what actually will make a difference in saving you time. It could be something simple. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be just understanding I need to do this 1,000 times. Well, can I automate that? It doesn't need to be this super, overcomplicated.
And Emmanuel, we got some software providers in the room here too. We should be speaking to software vendors.
But yeah, I think we got a question. So.
Just to echo your point, Emmanuel, there's heaps of positives out of AI. As a non-profit, I use it to put together grant applications. I never write an email now without actually putting it through AI first and then critically analysing it. For all the clinicians in the room, drop a 65-page business plan into AI and get it to summarise it. That'll speed you up.
Kalanda, can I just, the one warning I would say is de-identify your information before you drop it in there.
Yeah, or use a paid subscription.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, last one. I guess, John, this is for you. Again, I'm a little bit out of it. Back in the day, participants used to be able to use their funding to pay for like accounting software to help them manage the NDIS. Is that still the case, or do you see that participants will be able to use their funding to pay for, like, let's say, one of the softwares here to help better manage their data, their documents, to do the rostering?
I wish I could speak on behalf of the NDIA. I can't. It makes sense. It's part of doing business. And look, one of the opportunities is that, and we've seen that people have now moved away from something a little more manual. It doesn't have to be, like you said, a manual, a customer relationship management system, right? Like a Salesforce or SAP. You know, they've moved on to Xero or whatever it happens to be. There has been a slight progression. Whether that is included or not, I wish I had an answer for you.
Do you still see participants using their plan to fund it? Because it used to be funded. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I never used it, but yeah.
John, you have some data. You actually have good data you can sort of share your experience in terms of, how people are sending you invoices, what they're like, are you finding that providers are sending you shoddy looking things, and what are you seeing?
I don't want to judge it, but yes, yeah, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of PDFs, Word documents, scanned documents, mail.
Do you have electronic options?
Yeah, well, we have an
like
option.
EDI. Is it got?
So we do. So we have smarts that pick up your invoice with some relevant information on it, and that can actually then take that information and ingest it straight away.
Will it get to the point like with the NDIS where you can upload a batch file? Do you think it'll get that?
I think it'll probably get to that point. I would say. I think there's a in terms of AI from a plan management perspective, there's the part where you take the invoice information in, but there's still a manual element around the claims processing, the claims decisioning is still a bit murky, still very complex. I think it'll probably get there, but we're not there yet on that.
I guess I'm interested to know, sorry,
Bill.
That's okay. If there is an opportunity for NDIS to then fund AI within the participants' plan to help them, or a platform like that. Because technically there is a line item that we could push that through with. What is it?
The innovative.
Okay, thanks.
Innovative
tech.
All use AI, not disability related. It would be personal. I would use AI. You would use AI. Like, it's not something that you're oriented typically if you're using it.
Yeah, I think that's the opportunity. If you can link it to tech that's specific to disability, there should be an opportunity, but that we need to take that under investigation too.
Yeah, if you want to try, I'm down to try. I mean, like the NDIS is with anything. There are line items that we never use. Maybe AI can help with that, interpreting, opportunities for utilizing these line items that no one ever touches, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, but I think your point is right, that I think it really is, if a person with a disability needs that technology to allow them to do whatever they need, as opposed to just using AI. I think that's the point.
But I think if they use AI, who's looking after the security on it?
Yeah.
Is it them?
Exactly.
So their personal information, the confidential information we're talking about protecting, we're now putting it in their hands when we're saying they don't have decision making. So we're trying to build them to an independent level, but are we exposing them at the same time? So how do you expect NDIS to actually fund that?
It's such a challenging landscape because you're dealing with people with disability who have the capacity, but then you're dealing with people that don't have the capacity. You're dealing with people who have stakeholders who can support them, and then you're dealing with other people that don't have So it is a very difficult landscape, isn't it?
It is, because you see people that have their own decision making, and it's with OPG and it's going through all the different channels that it needs to, but they're at a stage where decision making is actually shouldn't be in their hands anymore, but we're letting it stay there. So I suppose, yes, security would be massive, and I just don't see that being foreseen anytime in the next 5 years.
Yeah, 100%. I agree that. But then again, there's dignity of risk. And I think that participants are already engaging with a lot more providers that are leaving them vulnerable, whereas AI can be a platform where people that struggle to communicate or people that struggle to understand, like it's very easy for them to say, I don't understand what my report says. Can you simplify that for me? Who is doing that for them right now? Like it is a way that they can already use that for free, but what stops them from using the NDIS plan to have a more safe guide or a private way to be able to put all the reports in and say, can you make me understand this? Or can you please read this out loud for me? Or can you please tell me what I'm missing? Or how do I do my roster? Or how do I do that? I think there's an opportunity there.
I think as my 2 cents, and hopefully I was doing well in time, but not anymore. But no, that's okay. No, because it's actually a longer debate and conversation that has to happen. It's really hard to put that into 2 minutes because the context is incredibly important. I think
you can't really, like, if you're asking them to put in a report, you're asking them to change a PDF document into a Word document to then de-identify it, to then put it in an AI to give them the information that they couldn't simplify in the first place.
And I just say with AI, sorry, Manuel, this is meant to be a starter topic on tech. I suspected that AI, we all suspect that AI
Would you like to take my microphone?
No. I just think next year we're going to then do deep dives into types of tech, and AI is going to be a big deep dive. And I think that we'd all welcome deeper conversations on these things.
1,000%, maybe even a podcast. I smell one coming. So I would love to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining us, and a massive thank you to our amazing 3 panelists for dedicating their time and information to the network and answering your questions, and to everyone who also asked questions as well. A couple of quick things before we end. I'm going to do a quick small plug. There are a few people, hands up, who are doing the toy drive for the hospitals. There's a couple of people here, I think, or maybe she left. But where Ability Connect is just gathering some toys for local hospitals. So and there's a bunch of others that are doing it. So I'll send out a flyer. If anyone wants to give, we're going to drop it off. Welcome to join us. It's just for kids over that period. And then lastly, I might hand it over because we're going to do the lucky draw before we do our amazing networking, food, and everyone's going to chat.
We're actually going to start by, before we do the lucky draws, and we've also made a bit of an executive decision about the lucky draws, which hopefully everyone will be happy with. We first of all wanted to thank our speakers. Peter, you're going to get the chocolates. Peter, you're not getting wine today, sorry. We'll sort out wine later. We also want to thank our vendors. So we're going to hand out, that's for Noor. So Noor. And chockies for Noor. And our other vendors. Ben. Aaron, bottle of wine, red or white? Sid, have to split a bottle of wine, red or white? Red. And yes. And the executive decision, we were going to give 1 box to the first winner, which we are going to. But then we're going to give 3 bottles to the next 4, but we decided we're going to give 1 bottle and we're going to have a longer trail, if that's okay. More people win. So first prize, Vanya is going to do a draw. Let's make it legal and independent. We've got the names written on the butts.
The first winner will get the whole box. Robert Oatley. Oh, that's Nick, 41.
Red 41. Oh, AV guy.
No one's filming that, so like. You want to come, Nick? Do you want to come over here, and then we can have a photo after together?
Who's going to take a photo of the AV guy?
No. True. All right. Now we're going to draw more. How many wine bottles do we still
So
have?
we've got 12 bottles. So we're going to have 12 bottles left.
Okay. Now.
11, 12.
Okay. Cool. Now we will continue to draw until we finish all the bottles. All right. That's blue 10 Sandish.
Yeah. I don't think we're green. Oh. Do you have someone you can give a... You can either donate it or...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Look,
It's in the swamp.
Peter will swap with you.
Oh, that's what it is. That's the one. All right. Here you go. And that's second 25, Mary G.
Mary, drop them. Red or white? Red or white?
Red. Here you go, Mary. Angela.
That's 12, Celia. And that's Victoria, number 2. Oh, 2 bottles now. Lovely. And that's Justine, 26. Oh. All right, keep going. Jonathan, 38. Okay. Todd, 15.
Yeah. Got a choice of Chardonnay or Chardonnay?
Maybe, right?
How many is there? Just one.
How many of those?
You can do some trading if you want.
All right. Simone is 4. 004.
Next.
All right. Aaron, 008. No. Aaron.
Go.
No for the ticket.
None.
Oh, you did?
Got one for you. There you go.
All right. We've got 003. 003.
Ali.
Ali.
Oh, Ali. He doesn't have wine. We'll organise something else for you, Ali. We'll organise something else.
Okay.
Well, 2, 3, 3.
Okay. All right. 3 more. Isara. No, 011.
Shara. Yeah.
And Alex D, 006.
There he is.
All right.
Alex from Order Doc.
Is that it?
One more.
Oh, no.
Last one's Rob, 042.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, thank you. We wanted to share the love. But at last, if we could just do a last big thank you to our panelists. Thank you so much. And now we're going to do our networking, but I just want to say a last heartfelt thank you on behalf of Building Bridges for everyone who comes every month. All the questions, you make my job easier. I don't have to talk, which everyone knows I love to, but I really appreciate it. This has grown from such a humble beginning to something that every month we can get together and actually share information and talk and chat, and now a podcast. So I appreciate it. And this is it for us for the year, but we'll see you in January. We'll post about what we're doing, but thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. So thank you, everyone.